afternoon, grade 12s. We're back, and today we finished with general solutions. So now we're going to move on to graphs. Goeiemôre. Ag nee, dis al middag, graad 12s. Welkom. Ons is nog steeds besig met trigonometrie, maar ons gaan nou aanskuif na grafieke toe. Ons is klaar met algemene oplossings en juffrou hoop julle het nou algemene oplossings onder die knie. As jy voel jy is nog nie 100% reg daarmee nie, gaan kyk weer na die videoetjies en maak seker dat jy die huiswerk sommetjies reg het. Let's start. We're going to start with basic learning work, grade 12s, and this is now very, very important. Without knowing this very well, you will not be able to answer any graph questions. So kom ons kyk na ons basiese beginsels van Trig. Ons drie moederfunksies. Let's start. We've got to know three mother functions very well. Die sinuskurwe, sin, kos en tan. Kom ons begin met die sin. Die standaard vergelyking van die sinuskurwe in graad 12 het 'n klomp parameters in, soos wat julle kan sien. The standard equation is y equals a sin k x plus b plus q. Dit is baie belangrik dat ons presies weet wat elke parameter se werk is binne in hierdie algemene formule. Die a en die x is altyd daar. So if you look at the mother function, the base of the sinus function, it will only be y equals sin x. So as ons gaan kyk na wat my parameters in hierdie moederfunksie is, dan sal ons sien dat a is gelyk aan 1. K is gelyk aan 1. P is gelyk aan 0 en Q is gelyk aan 0. En daarom sê ons hierdie is die moederfunksie, want dis die eenvoudigste sinfunksie wat jy kan kry. We've got a positive mother function and then we've got a negative mother function. Die positiewe een styg eerstens, as ons kyk na van die oorsprong af, dan styg my moederfunksie en hy eindig een siklus binne 360 grade. If it's a negative sin function, it's going to go down first. It's going to look like that. Goed, kom ons gaan bestudeer dan nou weer ons basiese kennis. Die sin x begin by 0. Hy sny die x-as by 180 en hy stop by 360 grade en ons noem die voltooiing van een siklus voordat hy homself gaan herhaal. And I always use the example, if you cut and paste or copy and paste, you are very familiar with that, then if you take that part and you paste it over there, it will look exactly the same as a continuous sinus function. You can paste until forever, and to the negative side as well. If you copy, paste, then you'll have the whole sinus function. Hoekom? Want die sinusfunksie hou aan forever. Hierdie is net 'n prentjie van minus 360 tot by 360 grade. So juffrou het net 'n stukkie van die sinfunksie geteken. Hy is forever, it's continuous, but I take pieces of the sinus function and I ask questions regarding that. Baie belangrik, op die x-as werk ons met grades, so ons begin by 0 grade en hierdie is 1 siklus en aan die negatiewe kant gaan ons net negatiewe kant. So ek het nou vir jou 1 siklus aan die negatiewe kant en 1 siklus aan die positiewe kant geteken. Kom ons kyk, die siklus wat 'n funksie neem om eenmal te voltooi, noem ons sy periode. The cycle to finish one little picture before you can copy and paste, we name that the period, and in the sinus curve, in the mother sinus curve, it equals 360 degrees, always, if it's a mother curve. Dan my amplitude, the amplitude, that's that distance, not the distance from there to there, but the distance from the horizontal, in this case the x-axis, up to that point. The maximum or the minimum, not both. So from the horizontal up to there, or from the horizontal up to there. and it's not negative because the distance is never negative. So this is the amplitude, and in this case it's 1 because it's the mother function. Die amplitude is van die horisontaal tot by jou positiewe 1 of jou negatiewe 1 en 'n afstand kan nooit negatief wees nie, daarom is die amplitude 1. Die amplitude is nie 2 in die graad 12s, dit is slegs 1, want die definisie lei, dis die afwyking vanaf die horisontaal tot by die minimum of die maksimum waarde. That's my sinus curve. A value changed the amplitude. So if the A value gets bigger, say for instance it gets to 2, then this thing will go up to 2 and down to -2. So this A value, do this with the graph. When the A value is negative, it simply means it goes down first. But the bigger the A value gets, the broader the sinus curve will get on both sides. It will get broader on both sides. Okay, as ons gaan kyk na K, dit wat voor my X staan, dit is my periode. Die K is my periode, en as my periode 1 is, in sinuskurwe se geval, is dit dan 360 grade. Say for instance, there would have been a 2. If there's a 2, I simply calculate my new period to be 360 degrees divided by K. That will always be my period. So in this case, K equals 1, so it's 360 degrees divided by K. And the period is when one cycle is completed. Periode, in die geval, is 360. As daar 'n 2 was, dan was dit 360 gedeel deur 2, dan was my periode 180, and then the sinus curve would have completed in 180 degrees. Meaning, if I take another color chalk, I'll show you, if it would have been a 2 over there, then the sinus curve would have completed in 180 degrees. Dan het die siklus voltooi in 180 grade. So dis wat K doen. The p-value shifts the graph to the left or to the right. P skuif hom na links of na regs. So as ek plus P het, skuif hy hom na links. The whole function. Simply shifted to the left. Say for instance it was x plus 30, then it shifts it to 30 degrees to the left. So ek vat my hele funksie en ek skuif hom net 30 grade na links. As dit 'n minuswaarde is, dan skuif hy weer na regs. Sê dit was minus 60 grade, dan skryf my hele funksie 60 grade na regs. And the Q value, as with all the functions, shift the whole function when it's plus, it shifts it upwards. When it's a negative, it shifts it downwards. So met ander woorde, as ek byvoorbeeld het plus 3, dan gaan hierdie hele funksie 3 eenhede, soos wat hy daar geteken is, you can form an little model with anything that you can get your hands on, with a line or with some anything that you can form a cycle with, and then you shift the whole thing upwards 3 units. So hierdie hele dingetjie gaan 1, 2, 3 eenhede opskuif, if it's positive. If it's negative, then the whole function will shift downwards. Say for instance, I shifted 1 unit downwards, then this whole thing will move down up to there, and then it will look like this. Let's quickly look at the cosinus function. Hierdie is die standaard vergelyking van die cos-funksie. A is gelyk aan A cos K x plus P plus Q. Al die parameters doen by al die funksies presies dieselfde ding. Juffrou herhaal weer. A bepaal die amplitude. Beteken, hy maak hom nouer, sê nou hy word 'n half, dan maak hy hom nouer. As hy 3 word, dan maak hy hom baie breër. But it broadens to both sides, the positive and the negative side. Dit is die amplitude. So as ons kyk na die amplitude, die afstand tussen die horisontaal en sy maksimum, in hierdie geval is dit 1. The distance from there to there is also 1. So the amplitude will equals 1. This is the mother function. 1, 1, 0, 0. So ons gaan kyk na K, die periode van een siklus. Die kos maak so 'n bakkie. Kan julle sien, daar is 1 cycle. For 1 cycle to repeat, it takes 360 degrees. Copy, paste. Copy, paste. Copy, paste. Continuous function. Selle, dit neem 360 grade. Dis die amplitude and the period. Again. P in this case is 0 because this function didn't shift to the left or to the right. En Q is ook 0 want hy het nie op of afgeskuif. Weereens, die periode word bepaal by 'n kosinusfunksie deur die moederfunksie 360 grade se siklus gedeel deur K. Weereens, as ek K verander na 2 toe, like this, then it means I'm going to fit 2 cycles of cosinus into 360 degrees. So my new period is going to be divided by 2, 180. So now the cosinus will look like this. Very easy. It does this to the functions. The K, when the K gets bigger, it presses the function in like this. So dit is amper soos 'n konsertina. 'n Konsertina, as jy hom indruk, dan gaan sy dele al hoe nader aan mekaar. As jy hom uittrek, dan gaan sy dele al hoe verder uit mekaar uit. This is what happens. It pushes this cosinus function narrower to each other. As ons gaan kyk na die tan-funksie, sy standaardvergelyking, y is gelyk aan a tan k x plus p plus q. The mother tangent function, again, a equals 1. Baie belangrik, die periode van 'n tan-funksie, as ons kyk na die afwyking van die horisontaal na die maksimum of die minimum, dan sien ons maar ooggenigtig. This thing is going on until forever. So there's no maximum or minimum over there. So the amplitude only in the tangent curve is undefined. Doesn't exist. Daar is nie 'n amplitude nie, want ek stop nie. I go on forever, forever. So very important, remember that, learning work. Periode, kom ons gaan kyk, daardie stukkies van 'n tan-funksie, gaan ek copy en paste, en daar is dele waar daar niks waardes gedefinieer is nie. En dit noem ons die asymptote. Kyk, die asymptote lê by 90 grade, 270. Every 90 degrees you will find an asymptote. You will find the asymptote. Why? Because the tangent function is not defined at that spaces. There's a hole and a hole. So ek het 180 grade periode. The period of the tangent function equals 180 degrees. So if you look at the k value, when the k value becomes bigger, like 2, then again it presses into closer to each other, the whole function. There's more cycles in 180 period than only 1. So that's what's happening, and if it goes to a half, it then it stretches further apart. So dit is presies wat die K doen. Die P skuif hom ook links of regs, and the Q shifts it upwards or downwards. En hierdie leerwerk graad 12 is verskriklik belangrik. As ek hierdie funksies effektief wil kan teken, moet ek my leerwerk, hierdie werk, baie goed ken en verstaan. If I want to draw a function that's got lots of parameters in it, then the easiest thing is to determine your period first, and your period then that you determined, you can divide by 4, and that we name critical values. Our critical values is when we take the period and we divide it by 4. And then you can just make your marks from the sinus curve starts at 0. So if you take the mother curve, 360 divided by 4, it gives you 90. So the next critical point will be 90. That will be your maximum, because you know your mother graph. You know that the sinus curve is going upwards first. Then it goes down again, so the next critical point will be 180. The next every 90 degrees you will find a critical point, then it's the minimum, and then again that. So you can mark your critical points and then you simply can draw your function. That's the easy way to determine your critical points before you draw your graph. Maar graad 12, ons gaan nog daar uitkom wanneer ons hierdie grafieke oefen, en dis dan ons leerwerkklas vir vandag. Hierna volg 'n oefening waar ons hierdie leerwerk gaan toepas. Sien julle net nou weer.